welcome to the No Spin News for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. Stand up for your country. Another very busy news day. We'll get to the VP debate coming up. But we've got Iran firing missiles at Israel. And obviously, that's a huge story. I'm going to give you what we know, but this changes every 15 minutes. So I don't want to get too deep into the reportage because by the time you watch this, it might be obsolete. But I will give you the overall. So Iran was embarrassed when Israel killed the Hezbollah commander who was working with Iran. And that happened last week. Israeli troops have gone in on the ground to Lebanon to root out other Hezbollah leaders. So Iran's got to do something, has to. Everybody's saying, oh, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to let this go unpunished. So you have to understand the dynamics here. Iran does not have the military capacity to defeat Israel in anything. It doesn't. But it does have missiles, and apparently they launched more than 100 in Israel's direction. Now, Israel has that iron shield and it's knocked, as of this reporting, all of them down. So we don't have any reports of deaths inside Israel at this juncture. Now, President Biden says he's going to help Israel defend itself against Iran. Okay. You know he's going to say that. There's a big election coming up. So they can't say we're going to root for Iran. Iran is the primary terrorist state in the world. All right. The Biden administration has been very soft on Iran. Kamala Harris has no blanket idea what's going on. I'm convinced of that. But right now, the United States is what they call standing with Israel. Now, that's all I can tell you at the moment. I will say what I reported yesterday, I believe it was, that Israel could severely damage Iran very quickly by bombing their ports. Iran is totally dependent for money and goods on shipping, okay? And it ships oil. And there used to be a big, stiff embargo on buying Iranian oil. That happened under the Trump administration, but that's gone because the Biden administration has been much softer on Iran. So Iran has been able to replenish its money. But Israel could take out those ports with probably not much problem, okay? And that means that the Iranian people, the Persians, would starve. How are they going to get food in? All right, airlifted in, that can't feed that many people. Neighboring countries, that's Afghanistan. They don't have enough food to feed their own people. So it would be a catastrophe for the mullahs to get a full-bore war going with Israel, and they would lose the war. But in the meantime, the upheaval would be tremendous for the world. You're already seeing oil prices skyrocket. That affects the American economy, and on and on and on and on. Okay, that's where we are now. Tomorrow I'll have a much more detailed report and analysis. Now the talking points memo, American politics, stormy political weather, and a lot of it has to do with this Hurricane Helene. Here are the stats as we know them. About 140 Americans died in this storm. North Carolina, 57 dead. South Carolina, 31. Georgia, 26. Florida, 11. Tennessee, 6. Virginia, 2. Okay? 600 people are missing. That means they're probably dead. But I shouldn't say that because there's communication breakdown, so they might be, but a good portion of the 600 are dead. 2 million people still without power right now, including Bernie Goldberg. I talked to him this morning and texting. He lives in Asheville. I got hammered in Asheville. So Goldberg's going south to Miami. He said, I'm the first person ever to flee a storm by going to Florida. So at least he's kept his sense of humor, but he's out. He doesn't have power. His generator doesn't work, on and on and on and on. So Bernie's heading south. The estimated damage is going to be about $200 billion. And that's why all the insurance premiums for everybody in America are going up. Because all of these insurance companies have to pay these claims, and then they raise their prices for everybody to make up for it. I mean, if you have renewed your insurance policy or try to buy insurance, you know it's insane. Insane from what it was just 2-3 years ago. And it'll go up again. Now, President Biden is doing what every president does, promising federal relief money, FEMA, okay? And the money will get there. It's a bureaucracy. It's not going to be on the spot. You know it. Donald Trump went down, okay, to Georgia, Valdosta, to try to rally morale, you know, and it was a good political move. He's engaged, so he's there. But while on the ground, he said this, quote, I was also going to stop into North Carolina, which has really been hit hard. I have a lot of supplies ready for them, but access to communication now restricted. Want to make sure the local emergency management is able to focus on helping the people most affected and not being concerned with me. That's good right there. I'll be there shortly, but don't like the reports that I'm getting about the federal government and the Democrat governor of North Carolina going out of their way to not help people in Republican areas, unquote. That was on social media. Okay, now, immediately when he brings the federal government and the Democratic governor saying they're not helping Republicans, the press has got a story. And NBC News asked Trump about it. Go.
The other interesting thing about Trump's visit here, he had been saying on Truth Social that he believes Democrats, specifically the governor of North Carolina and the federal government, had been intentionally denying aid to Republican parts of the Tar Heel state. I asked him what, if any, evidence he had to back that up. You can see what he said here. Democrats intentionally not getting aid to what was that in reference to?
Governor Kemp did call.
Just take a look. Where's that coming from?
Biden did call Governor
Kemp yesterday. Any evidence for that, Mr. President?
You got to vote Trump, people.
Very difficult to hear his response there on that clip, Katie, but his answer was, take a look. Essentially, I've got nothing to show you right now. Go find it yourself.
Okay, so there isn't much backup for Trump's assertion that the Democrat governor of North Carolina and the federal government are withholding aid from Republican areas. We can't find it. So this is going back to a recurring theme. Trump helped himself by going down to the storm-affected areas. That was a very good move. But then he says something that the media doesn't like, okay? And the media demands, well, where's the backup? And the Trump people don't have it. So that diverts the story from him going there, positive, into a negative. You see? So I'm saying to myself, what Trump needs to do is hire a fact person to follow him around. But he won't. I know that. But he could have 2 or 3 people. All they do, I have them. I pay my people to be fact people. I do it. It's not that hard. The job is hard, but it's not hard to find people to do it. Okay? And don't say anything you can't back up. It's 5 weeks we're voting. So the press is never going to be fair. They're always going to look for a way to diminish Trump. We all know that. Everybody knows it. But don't give them the hammer. Okay, finally in the talking points, the debate tonight. So Senator Vance got to know it's 3 against 1. All right, and Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan are the moderators for CBS, and they're liberal women. Okay, they've always been liberal women. That's who they are. That's fine with me, as long as it doesn't bleed over into their job, as long as they're not unfair. Not going to be an active fact check, so the moderators don't really have a lot of sway, although they can ask follow-up questions. We'll see how effective that is. So Vance has got to know it's 3 against 1. He's against Governor Walz, and the 2 moderators are certainly not looking to make him look good. How they conduct themselves, I'll tweet during it. You'll get everything on the spot. It says, at Bill O'Reilly, very early, at Bill O'Reilly, okay? And then I'm going to do analysis for News Nation after that. You'll be able to see that. We'll post it on BillO'Reilly.com. So I'm on it, real time, as they call it. But Vance has to be prepared. If he allows himself to get on the defensive, he'll lose. And that's what Trump did to Kamala Harris. He got on the offensive. So Vance has got to know they're going to go after the cat ladies. They're going to go after the eating cats and dogs. And whatever else Vance has said in his past life that the liberal press thinks is offensive. Vance is going to have to deal with that. Those questions are going to come. I wouldn't even answer them if I were Vance. I just look and say, look, I know that's what you were going to ask, but I'm looking ahead. All right. I'm seeing a country that's in disarray under Biden-Harris, and I've got solutions to these problems. The president and I, President Trump and I, have solutions. And so that's how I'm going to give you the answers to those questions. You want to know about dachshunds being eaten for lunch? I'm not going to engage. He has a perfect right to do that. Vance can do that. Just cut it off at the pass. And then what does Walz have to run on? What? Nothing. He's more progressive left than Harris. But if I'm Vance, I'm kicking in real fast to the riots in Minneapolis after the George Floyd killing. You know, and Vance doesn't have to wait for the CBS moderators to ask him the question, because they won't ask him the question. I'll put heavy money on that. They're not going to ask him that question. That you waited 48 hours before getting everything under control or even sending in relief to stop the looting and the burning and everything else in Minneapolis. Do you regret that, Governor? Right? Well, Vance can say to Brennan and the other one, he could say, O'Donnell, why don't you ask him this? That's a good question. I think everybody would like to know that answer. He can do that. You have to control it. Trump did not control it with Kamala Harris. Vance could. Now, if Vance does what I suggest and wins the debate and looks statement-like he can run the country if something happens to Trump, that's going to help the ticket. Most of the time, these VP debates don't mean anything. Nothing. All right? This time, there are enough people floating around that Vance can help that ticket, but he's got to win. And that's the memo. Schedule is today. The president met with some rabbis as the Jewish high holidays approach. Kamala didn't do anything today. Very interesting. She's not out there every day. Trump's in Wisconsin. New poll among Hispanic Latino voters, and this is a very important group. So this is Telemundo, CNBC, all right? Gender, 47% male, 53% female. That skews the poll toward Kamala Harris. Just so Telemundo and CNBC know. If you're going to have 6% more women, you're skewing your own poll, okay? Democrat 49, Republican 37, Independent 13. That's worse than it looks because there are more registered Democrats among Latino voters. So I'm not so concerned about that. Gender? Yeah. All right, here's the question. Who do you support? Who will you vote for? Trump Vance, 40. Harris Walz, 54. So a 14% gap in the Latino vote. But at this time, in 2012, it was a 39-point gap in favor of Barack Obama. 39, okay? In 16, Hillary, 50-point lead. So this is fairly tight among Latino voters. I think Trump might split it. I do. I think that the Latino vote is getting hammered economically, and they are conservative people, generally speaking, in social areas. But we'll see. I hate that. We'll see. I'm sorry I said that. That's the worst cliche, and every journalist, every television person says it. Let's just put it this way. I'll revisit that after the vote is counted. My Pillow has been canceled by another box store. That's too bad. But they're sharing an incredible offer for my listeners. Now for a limited time, you can get the standard size My Pillow for just $14.98. Usually retails for $49.98. My Pillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. So it holds its shape all night long to give your neck maximum comfort, get it aligned, and give you the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. There are deals on 4-piece kitchen or bath towel sets. Only $25 per set. New mattress toppers as low as $69.98. Famous My Pillow bed sheets, love them, as low as $25, and much more. Please go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-869-0298. Use promo code BILL to get huge discounts on all My Pillow products, including the standard size My Pillow, now only $14.98. Don't delay, order today. Okay, we did a YouTube posting on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bill O'Reilly. We want you to go there. It is free of charge. youtube.com/Bill O'Reilly. Now, what we did was we analyzed Dana Carvey, his impressions of Bush the Elder, and now Joe Biden. I think Carvey's a genius myself, and he's a good guy. So that is my YouTube commentary if you want to listen to it. Let's go to the mail. We got Patrick. I agree Donald Trump could win with a small tad of humility, but we know he will not do that. And he has to learn he can't say anything in jest, can't joke around. Even when he reads from the teleprompter, he sounds angry. He is angry. Donald Trump is angry, and he has a right to be. The second most persecuted president in history next to Abraham Lincoln. And again, confronting the presidents will back that up. Mike, concierge member, O'Reilly, you're right about the presidency. It's been outsourced to ardent progressives who have been calling the shots throughout Biden's term and will continue with Harris. No doubt about it. Kamala Harris will not call shots if she is elected president. James, question. It seems to me that the country is divided and people do not respect others who have differing views. That is true, generally speaking. Due to this lack of respect, many people are not open and don't discuss issues of the day. Will that change? No. Not with the media that we have, from social media. And that letter comes to us from Jim Millard in Yokosuka, Japan, where you don't have a divided society. It's very homogenous there in Yokosuka. I haven't been to Yokosuka, but been to Kyoto and Tokyo, and very interesting. Jim Poland, Andover, Connecticut. Is it true President Biden is rejecting some forms of federal aid for North Carolina's flooding? I don't have any evidence, as I reported. If some surfaces, then I'll absolutely report it, but there's no evidence right now. Elizabeth, Bill, I know there are tens of millions of voters who don't know anything. I know this because you and I were both teachers. You know, my students, I drag them into reality somewhat, most of them. Mark Cleveland, Norwell, Massachusetts. Professor Laffer made an interesting point that news consumers should do their homework to verify what they hear and read. But who has the time? Nobody, Mark. So if they're lying to you or it's propaganda, it's wrong. Flat out wrong. And that's what we're in business to do, correct the record. Kimberly Webb, Kennewick, Washington. Mr. O'Reilly, I want to tell you I'm listening to Confronting the President, so enjoying it. I think I'm enjoying it so much that I will listen to it again with my husband when we take road trips. Absolutely. Learn something on the road. Confronting the President's #1 nonfiction in the country. There it is. Get it free if you sign up or re-up. Membership to BillO'Reilly.com. Best deal in the world. Word of the day, do not be a barber monger. Barber, like, okay, and M-O-N-G-R at the bottom of it. Don't do that. Back with a final thought in a moment. The Federal Reserve has dropped interest rates, so you need to call my friends at American Financing today. With mortgage rates in the fours, it's a perfect time to consolidate debt and reduce your monthly expenses. Now, many of us have been forced to use credit cards due to the cost of groceries, utilities, even childcare. And thanks to insanely high credit card rates, that debt becomes even more expensive. But American Financing helps homeowners, just like you, save more than $800 a month on average. They're even closing in as fast as 10 days. You can close it all in 10 days. And if you start today, you might be able to delay the next 2 mortgage payments. There's no upfront fees. To find out how much you can save, please call American Financing, 888-462-9557, 888-462-9557, AmericanFinancing.net/bill. By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Okay, as I mentioned, I will be tweeting during tonight's vice presidential debate, and I will have my analysis on News Nation put on BillO'Reilly.com right after. I wrote a message of the day, and anybody can access it on BillO'Reilly.com. Don't have to be a premium member. Don't have to do that. You just go there. And I said that throughout our history, some of the vice presidents who were elevated to the presidency upon the president's death, like Lincoln and Garfield and McKinley, were horrible. People like Andrew Johnson, John Tyler, Chester A. Arthur, and perhaps the worst was Lyndon Johnson after JFK. Oh, is he corrupt? Where do you see that? And I didn't know it. When Dugard and I were researching confronting the presidents, and this was coming in, I went, this can't be true. Lyndon Johnson set up a bordello to blackmail fellow politicians. It's true. That's what you'll learn in the book. Okay. So we're looking forward to the debate tonight. We'll have no spin analysis, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.